Maintaining and nurturing friendships. This is where the beauty comes in play. This is where it really starts to be fulfilling and nourishing and playing a really meaningful role in your life and enables you to have that chosen family to live a very fulfilling life. It takes time. You need to put in the time to nurture your friendships. It's not something that's just going to happen. And it's not something that you just do. You don't just fit it around everything else when it's convenient. You need to put in the time. And the time that you put in needs to be quality focused time. Welcome to the Blueprint Breakers podcast. What is a blueprint breaker? If you live your life outside the typical traditional lifestyle blueprint, you are a blueprint breaker. We are here to start a conversation, to assemble resources, and to build a community. This podcast is for empowered women in midlife and beyond who are preparing for a powerful next era of life. My name is Amy A. Palmer. I am your host and facilitator for our conversations. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. To stay connected, up to date, and to receive all of our free resources and gifts along the way, join us at community.blueprintbreakers.com. Today's episode is called Friendsgiving. We are going to talk all about friendship and adult friendship. And I'm calling this Friendsgiving because we are right smack in the middle of Thanksgiving week. I know many people celebrate this holiday differently. Some do not celebrate it at all. For me, Thanksgiving has become a month of gratitude. I really try to look at the world around me and find as much gratitude as I possibly can. And so that's what I focus on throughout the month of November. I also see that a lot of people who may not be with family at this time of year, and blueprint breakers often have non-traditional ways of celebrating this holiday and others. And they often do it through a gathering of friends and have a Friendsgiving in a variety of ways. So with whatever you're doing this week and however you're spending your time, I'm wishing you a very, very happy week. So let's talk about the topic of friendship. About a year ago, almost a year ago, I think, I saw a post, a reel, a video from Mel Robbins where she was talking about one of her upcoming podcast episodes about how difficult it is to make friends as an adult and the struggle that so many people have with making friends and having friends. And the video triggered me. It triggered me so much that I recorded a response to the video and I, plastered it all over the internet. I tagged her in it, never got a response. I have no idea if she ever really saw it, but I was very, very triggered by what she was saying. And I wasn't sure, at first, I wasn't sure why. Why was I triggered? And then I realized it was because as a blueprint breaker, as someone who has been living her life outside of the typical lifestyle blueprint, finding friends, making new friends, having different types of friends, and nurturing and maintaining friendships has consumed a lot of my time. Consumed sounds like a negative word, and I don't mean it as it is a job. It takes a lot of time, attention, and devotion. And it's a necessary part of my mental health. And I was triggered because to me, Mel was representing, she's sort of entering that empty nest phase of life. She's a wife and a mother, and her kids are getting older, and she's suddenly finding herself with more time on her hands and looking for, like-minded women to connect with and is struggling with that. And I just got a little annoyed by that because I was like, we've been here all along. I don't know how many of you blueprint breakers have experienced this, but through my adulthood, I've definitely had seasons of friendships and, my friends who had other priorities, marriage, children, being fully focused on family, didn't necessarily have time to maintain and nurture a full friendship. And so I was sort of feeling like, we're here. We know how to do this. Why didn't you ask us? We've been doing it all along for the decades that you've been raising your kids. We've been finding and nurturing friendships. So yeah, I was a little triggered by that. And luckily I feel like sort of calmed down a little bit. But I think the point is the first point that I want to make about it is that it is like a job. I mean, in a good way. I mean, it's one of my jobs that I really enjoy and I have a passion for. It takes time, it takes focus, it takes effort. And usually blueprint breakers are the ones that are willing to step up and do that. And if there are women who are struggling with it, look around to those who are good at it and ask them and find out what it takes. But we're going to cover the why. Why do we want more friends and different friends as we get older? Where do we find them? How do we turn it into a friendship? And then how do we nurture it over time? So that's what I'm going to cover in today's episode. First, let's talk about why. Why do we want more friendships, different types of friendships as we move into this next season of life? As a blueprint breaker, we often do not have some of the same built in relationships around us to fill certain of our emotional needs, right? We don't necessarily have a partner who's filling at least some of those needs or part of those needs, or children who are filling some of those needs or part of those needs, etc. So we have to actively set up our family, our chosen family, so that we are able to lead our fullest, best life. And what I mean by that too is we need different types of friendships. We can't have dozens of very, very close, intimate friends. We just typically don't have the bandwidth for that as human beings. But we do need some. We need some people in our life that we are emotionally intimate with, that we are connected with, like soul sisters. And then we also need varying degrees of friends, right? We need the friends who are there for companionship that we connect with, that we enjoy helping them out. They enjoy helping us out. We're there for support. We need friends to do activities with, like shared hobbies, shared activities, or travel companions and people to explore new places with. All of those things aren't, they're not necessarily, they don't necessarily fall on the same friends. Different friends are able to connect with you on different levels. And so as a single woman, and it's become more important, not less important as I've gotten older, I have to continue to nurture and sort of fill my supply of chosen family, friends, activity partners, travel mates, etc., in order to continue the lifestyle that I am thoroughly enjoying right now. So that's the first question that you need to ask yourself if you're feeling like you're missing out on friendships or socially your life is just not where you want it to be. Where are the missing holes? Where is it? What do you need to fill? What are you looking for? What's going to sort of help you fill those various areas? So that's the first question to ask. And that's the why behind friendship. And it's a two-way thing. You're doing that for others also. You're being their activity partner. You're being their emotional support. You're being their soul sister. So it's figuring all of that out first. Once we know why we want new friends or why we're looking for friendships or looking to expand our social circle, the question is where? Where do we find them? And that is the never ending question. It does require that you put yourself out there. I happen to be a slightly extroverted introvert. or a very introverted extrovert. I don't know how you want to look at it. It's not my number one favorite thing to do to put myself out there. Sometimes I have to force myself to follow through. There are different ways that I do that. But in terms of where, social media is your friend in this case. I have moved many, many, many times during my adult life from city to city, from state to state, all over the country. As time went by and as social media became more prevalent, it became easier to make new friends in new places because of social media. And the way that I did it was through real life friends. When I was going to a new place or I was going to live in a new place, I always asked my real life current friends who they know in that area. You'd be surprised how small the world is. You'd be surprised how many connections you can make. That's how I made several connections in California when I first moved to California. My first friends that I made there were from social media connections, from people that I knew on the East Coast. I've even gone as far as putting a post online, like announcing it on my social media channels. I'm moving to such and such area. Who do you know there? Who can you introduce me to? It's similar to if you're networking for a new job, you're networking for new friends and new connections. So that has worked for me again and again. I would also say that there's different online internet ways to meet people. Meetup.com is awesome. Also, because with meetup.com, it's around all different interests. So you can already have some things in common and some background and everything. And so I've enjoyed going to a lot of meetup.com events. I wasn't as good at converting those to actual friendships, like converting the people that I briefly met at a gathering, at a brunch or something, into a friendship. When Meetup started to work for me, now this is me, everybody's different, but this is me. When it worked for me was when I sort of led the group. I posted my own, I sponsored a group or hosted a group. And before that, before Meetup, I did the same thing with Yahoo groups back when Yahoo groups were a thing, starting my own group, and it attracted people online. And then it gave me the opportunity to meet them in person. And I made a couple of really close friends in California that way. And I met several people way back in the day when I first moved to DC through Yahoo groups. So there are ways to do that. I know that Bumble, which is a dating site, also now has Bumble BFF, which is for finding friends. I've never tried that, but I did the same thing 15 plus years ago. Match.com had a friendship side of their website. And one of my friends to this day is somebody that I met from the friendship side of Match.com over 15 years ago. So trying some online options and exploring some things that way and really using your real life friends to introduce you to people in new places and using some of your online connections. I've also met people through, I was a member of some like online coaching groups and online courses. And I found out that where some of them lived in regional areas where I was going to be. So converting those online friendships and connections that you're making into offline friendships. And I'll tell you that Gen Z is all over this. They're making friends that are close friends for years online before they ever even meet in person. But they do end up meeting them in person. So they're all over this. Lots of different ways to find those new connections and expand your circle. Let's talk about how to convert someone that you've met into a friend. And first, I need to preface this by saying that your closest, most emotionally intimate, soul sister type friendships, you can't force that. That's something that takes time. That's something that sort of develops over time. And it's something that you both earn during your shared time and experiences together as you do life together. Now, will say that sometimes you meet people and they feel like you've known them forever really, really fast. So it can sort of accelerate, but it's still through some sort of shared experiences. But in terms of turning acquaintances into a friend, if I was trying to explain how I do it, I would say that first of all, I start with very little expectation. Low to none. So if there's somebody that I meet and I connect with them and I find them interesting and I'd like to get to know them, it would follow up with either, getting together for coffee, or maybe there's a particular activity that's coming up that you've got a shared interest in. And it's really expressing your interest in doing something together with that person at some point. And it's either on the spot when you're at the event or online afterwards. Usually, because I'm an introvert, it's usually an online afterwards kind of thing. So let's say, for example, I meet somebody at a lunch and movie thing from meetup.com, and we had good conversation and it was interesting and everything. I might send her a message later and say, "It was really fun. It's great to meet you. I'm going to a film festival this weekend and I'm looking for somebody to come along. Are you interested?" Something like that. So it does take follow up, it does take action. Can you just sit back and let things happen? I guess. I guess you can, but it will take longer and it may not happen. So when you connect with someone, just don't be afraid to reach out. Keep in mind that everybody feels a little uncomfortable about this aspect of our lives, I think. Um, we all are a little bit hesitant, or we feel a little awkward. We may feel a little unsure of ourselves. We may feel introverted. There's a lot of introverts out there. So everybody is feeling that same level of potential discomfort. So the more that you could just push through that, just push through that, just do it anyway, the better off you will be and the more connections that you will make. That's how to take it from somebody you just met to having some sort of a friendship with them. And then over time, you'll figure out what kind of friend it is and what kind of things you do together. And if you're able to emotionally support each other, or if you're just like activity buddies or whatever it is, that will reveal itself over time. Maintaining and nurturing friendships, relationships, various types of friendships. This is where the beauty comes in play. This is where it really starts to be fulfilling and nourishing and playing a really meaningful role in your life, and enables you to have that chosen family to live a very fulfilling life. It takes time. You need to put in the time to nurture your friendships. It's not something that's just going to happen. And it's not something that you just do. You don't just fit it around everything else when it's convenient. You need to put in the time. And the more friends you have, the more time it takes. The more that you have sort of in your inner circle, your medium circle, and then your outer circles require different levels of time and attention and focus. Keep that in mind. And the time that you put in needs to be quality focused time. One of the things that I've worked on over the years is when I am with a friend, whether in person, whether on the phone, whether via Zoom, when I am with them, I am 100% with them. If I'm visiting them, whatever it takes, I'm focused on that relationship and I'm focused on what we share together and the experiences we have together. I don't do well with multitasking when it comes to nurturing friendships. And I think we all feel that when somebody's not really there, not really present, or they're paying attention to other stuff or whatever. We feel that. So I would suggest carving out time where when you're focusing on somebody, that you are focused on that person and catching up with them and hearing what's going on for them and hearing what's on their mind, what they need help with, or what joys they want to share, like whatever it is, focusing on them. My second thought about nurturing is not worrying about reciprocity or taking things personally. As a blueprint breaker, as somebody who has to devote a certain chunk of my life to building out my chosen family and having those nourishing relationships in my life, I make that a priority. And there's designated times when I'm able to make it a priority. And there's times when I'm not able to make it a priority. Not everybody is on the same exact timeline and has the same exact priority level at the same time. So just because it's a priority for you to nurture this particular friendship doesn't mean it's a priority for that person at this moment. Hopefully, the moment will come where it is, but I will say that I am often the one who is reaching out more and making the effort more often to spend time with the people that I care about. And I try not to take that personally because, I understand that not everybody views their time the same way. Not everybody has the same type of priorities, especially if they have a partner and a family and a lot of family obligations, a lot of things going on, sometimes extended family obligations, sometimes additional work obligations. I've set up my life for time freedom. So part of the benefit of that is I'm able to spend the time on making people a priority. And not everybody is set up that way. So if you're the one reaching out all the time, so what? So what? If you enjoy the time that you have with that person and it does something for you, go with that. Apparently that's your role in that relationship is you schedule the time. You set up the time, you make it happen. You bring the people together, whatever it takes. I've heard gurus out there saying, if they don't give back what you're giving them, then, eliminate them from your life, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. So think about that. The way that I do it is I have to have structure around it because I don't particularly enjoy talking on the phone. My friends will vouch for that. I don't like it and don't particularly enjoy Zoom dates because we do that for work a lot. I most enjoy quality FaceTime is my favorite thing. However, I have friends spread out across the country, so I can't always have quality FaceTime. And so I can't rely just on quality FaceTime to maintain and nurture those relationships. I know we all have friends that we can say, oh, we go years without seeing each other. And then it's just like back to normal when we see each other again. Okay, sometimes that works and sometimes not. If you really want to maintain a friendship, a relationship with that person, there needs to be some time spent connecting with that person on some sort of an emotional level. So for me, it has to be structured. I have to schedule phone dates. I have to schedule Zoom dates. I have to make that commitment, force myself to do it. I mean, like just force myself to actually make it happen. Like once I'm there, I absolutely love it. I love talking with my friends. I love interacting with them. It's just the initial act of making it happen is tough. Is that the third point or fourth point? I don't know. I've lost track of how many points. But my next point is keep watering the plant of this friendship in whatever way that needs to be. I mean, you know who you care about. You know who's in your inner circle, your medium circle, etc. If you haven't connected with them in some sort of time, if it feels like you're out of touch, connect, reach out. Goodness, even just leave a text, get a text chain going, something. Um, you need to keep that connection. I think that's it in a nutshell with nurturing and maintaining and growing your friendships. I think when you do this, that's where the more emotionally intimate friendships start to grow over time. It's through continued shared experiences. So put in the time, make it a focus. Don't multitask while you're spending time with your friend. Set a date, keep it structured if you need to. Don't worry about reciprocity. Don't take it personally. Make it happen and enjoy it, relish it, cherish it, have some fun. You're going to have tons of laughs. How many times have you laughed till you cried? Lately, usually when it happens, it's with your friends, right? So I look forward to hearing from you about how you are doing with building and maintaining and nurturing your friendships. We covered the why, the where, the how, and how to nurture. Enjoy it. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Blueprint Breakers podcast, Friendsgiving. And a special thanks to you during this week of Thanksgiving and during this month of gratitude. I am so grateful to you. Grateful to you for sharing this podcast with your friends. Grateful to you for going in and giving me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. I look forward to talking with you again soon. Have a wonderful week. Keep on breaking those blueprints and writing your own.